Hello, today I'm going to tell you the rather exciting story of two ordinary diesels, about which one is best, which one I'm going to take home, and which one you'd be better off buying. Well, I haven't picked the right day for it because one of the parts of this test is a torque test. Torque. See which one of these cars will win in an arm wrestle. But the torque test in mind is about going up a reasonably steep hill in fifth gear and which one will accelerate the hardest. I'm starting off in this 2002 Volkswagen Golf. To make a comparison between a 21-year-old Volkswagen Golf and a 21-year-old Rover 45 may seem a bit odd, but after all they've both got primitive diesel engines which are tunable and reliable. There are some fantastically advanced diesel engines these days, and have been for about 10 years, but you know they don't have the same durability of the old ones. They may be faster, but there's nothing quick about breaking down, is there? So this is a real world test as far as I'm concerned, taking two cars out just before it goes dark in the damp for what is basically a fun but ever so slightly pointless video. But the winner, in my mind, will be the car that I take home with me tonight, because currently two of these cars are taxed, but in a couple of days only one of them will be, and I have to decide which one I want to use as my daily runaround. Now originally it was going to be this Golf, but it had a problem with the boost pipe and I ended up not using it. Now it's perfectly okay. It runs well, it goes well, but will I prefer it to the Rover? Well, what I can say straight away is that the Golf, which isn't entirely standard, the old PD engine has had a couple of tweaks here and there because they're quite easy to do, whereas the Rover has only had one. So this has the unfair advantage. But one thing I can say about this is it doesn't really seem to have any turbo lag, just from very low down, very low revs. Here we go, third gear there at just over 1000 RPM, and it's picking up really nicely. One thing about this Golf that isn't fair to mention, because it's not like it's this car, is the steering wheel. This plastic steering wheel is just shedding brown stuff all over my hands, and it's just horrible. Justifying the comparison then, the only similarity these two cars actually have is they both have a 2-litre diesel engine, which were at the time advanced but quickly became somewhat agricultural. Other than that, we have a saloon car versus a hatchback. We have classic looks versus functionality. We have classic interior versus functionality. We have proven build quality versus proven build quality with flaws. But they both have flaws in their build quality. Very different things. We have boy racer versus old man. But no, that's not fair, because the thing about the Golf, of course, as I mentioned in its review video, is that it's an everyman car. And I don't like that phrase, but it fits the bill, doesn't it? It really does, because it is a car that all people like. When I say all people, I mean all types, all from across the board, people like the Volkswagen Golf. Now, to go Blackstone Edge in fifth gear is not an amazing task. In fact, this very car did it with a boost leak, but it's more about how much will it be going up there, how much will it be accelerating up there, because my everyday car won't go up in fifth gear at all. It's just not got the torque. Now, the only trouble is actually going up Blackstone Edge in fifth gear, giving it the gusto beans, etc., means catching things up easily. So I'm just going to wait a moment for the Range Rover and the bike to get ahead, and now go. First gear 20, second gear 20, taking it nice and easy, up to 30 miles per hour, up to 40 miles per hour in fourth gear. Not really using that turbo too much just yet. But then I go into fifth gear, and this is all that you normally would expect, is to be able to do 50 miles per hour up this hill in fifth gear, which it's doing quite easily. And then of course we approach the bend here where you naturally have to slow down unless you've got super duper grippy tyres, down to just over 40, and picking up. Not massively, but it's picking up. It's picking up. It's picked up to over 50 just there. And whoa, gosh, that wasn't very particularly pleasant. Had to slow down slightly there for the bump and the bend. And now some standing water. And we're going up last bend now, so we can properly leave the foot planted down without any fear of coming off the road. And there we go, that's perfectly okay. Whoa, oh dear, did you hear that? Did you see that? It wasn't very nice, was it? And that's essentially it. The test over. But what I can't do really is tell you the speed I was getting to as I was approaching the top there and took my foot off the accelerator, just in case it was over the limit of this deserted Pennine Road. Yeah, I'm not even saying it was over 50, but if it was, I'm not going to tell you how much over it was. And I will do the same with the Rover, and I will just tell you which one actually won. Okay, by my reckoning, the Volkswagen Golf, with the bits that this has done to this, should be probably similar, very close acceleration wise to the Rover. The difference is, when you're seen shooting off like that in a Golf, people go, when you do it in a Rover, they go, oh. Straight from the Golf to the Rover actually feels quite heavy in comparison. It's heavy and light at the same time. The engine is obviously heavy, but it just sets off revving, whereas the Rover L series doesn't really quite do that. It needs a bit more warming up. It's also going to want a bit more diesel if I dare go anywhere in it. Anyway, for that reason, the Golf does actually feel like a bit more of a modern drive, but they are completely different in other ways. I mean, the Rover 45 is actually more refined. It's a longer car, but with less weight, and actually the handling of the Rover 45, if you don't know this already, is better than the Golf. The thing is, most people never really find this out, because the average Rover 45 driver doesn't do too many stupid things, and that's the point. Revs below 2000 RPM, the 45 doesn't really want to do anything very much, whereas the Golf is perfectly happy picking up from about 1500. Obviously, individual car health will affect these results as well, and the little jobs that have been done to these individual cars. This one, the only one I know of, is actually that Chasley ECU, and I do know it could do with an oil change and a filter change and various other bits that can actually make a small difference. You may think I'm biased and that I've already made my mind up, and I'm happy for you to think that. But the Rover is more interesting. I think it drives better, I think it rides better, I think it looks better. It has an awful lot of things about it that make it more appealing to me. I think it's less boring. I could happily drive this car every day and not get bored, whereas I can't really do that with a Golf. But that's not what this particular video is all about, is it? A question that you may well have is, if this is a better car, why are there so many Golfs about and so few Rover 45s, especially when you consider that the Mark IV Golf came out in 98, I think it was, and this came out in 2000. Well, the Golf, although it didn't look like it in 1998, was an entirely new car, whereas of course the Rover wasn't. It was based on a previous model with a few tweaks here and there. A lot more tweaks than you realise, but a good few tweaks, and that was also based on the previous model as well. Those things don't help sales, and what won't help this car's acceleration is this colossal amount of rain that we have at the moment. It's simple though, really. The Golf came about at a time where people wanted German cars. They wanted that prestige, and it was made affordable, whereas the old fuddy-duddy English stuff was seen as being a bit old hat, and so fewer and fewer people went for them. And that's why you see Golfs everywhere still. Not because they're better. On our way up Blackstone Edge now, just about to go into launch mode. We're in 4th gear now, just about to put my foot down a bit. Now, this is quicker, without a doubt. The thing is, it doesn't get going quite as quickly. It's just that once it is going, then it goes a lot more aggressively. The arm wrestle analogy I was talking about, well, that's a bit like the Golf has a false start. It's like straight away, just before the thing where you're supposed to be allowed to do it, he's already tugging away at your arm. But this, it waits until it's allowed to go, and then it goes properly. Let that Mercedes get out of sight, although he was driving quite quickly behind me there. Set off again. Nice and gently in 1st gear. Nice and gently in 2nd, up to 20. 3rd gear takes us way over 30 without really trying. Then 4th gear is the one where you can start to stick it because you're less likely to lose traction. And there we go, we're going, well, just over the speed limit. We're back here already, so here we're approaching the bends where you have to slow down because otherwise you're going to find yourself off the road. We wouldn't want that. Slowing down to just over 40, foot back down again, and that slight delays there, but not for long because it's already picked back up. Oh, it's tugging me around all over the place actually. Right, now that is I've got to be a bit more careful with this, and it's not because of the tyres, it's because of the torque. The torque is real. There's a bit more rain now, but if this was dry I could really fly up here. The last bit, I've got to watch out that bit of standing water, and here we go. I'm having to slow down again there. Whoa! Oh, that was a bit scary actually. Oh, Jesus. I was waiting for it. I knew that I would end up with, we're hitting standing water in places, and the amount of torque steer this car has, and that's with the good chassis I'm talking about. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just getting that power down in the wet is a bit of a problem. A good 3.5 mil, I'd say, and about the same on this side. Should be more than enough to get an old car like this up a hill in 5th gear without it slipping everywhere. Well, what a wonderful test that was. Quite pleased with that one. What I can definitely tell you is that the Rover was faster going up that hill. In fact, quite a bit faster. What is the point of all that power if you can't use it? And you can't, not in the wet, not going up a hill. You can't use it going down a hill because that's not when you need it, and that's more dangerous. The Golf, however, is a lot more responsive. A lot more. That makes it better, doesn't it? You don't need all of the power. You need the responsiveness. And that's what we come to expect. We press a button and expect something to happen straight away. We live in the Amazon times, where if your turbo doesn't instantly spool up and fling you up the road, then it's a reject. And for that reason, I think the Rover is better, because it requires patience. Patience is still a virtue in my book. Yep, so I've decided the Rover is the one that's going to be the one that gets taxed next month, and the Golf can just stay in the yard and go up for sale. However, of course, that means I've only got a couple more days with the Golf, so it should just come home with me tonight. The only thing is though, I can't be bothered going back to work to collect it, so I'm going to take the Rover home. After that though, I've got 2 more days and there's plenty of diesel left in the Golf. I should be using it, shouldn't I? But I probably won't, because after all this, it's still just not me. I still prefer the Rover. I can explain the whole reasons why, and I have done, but there's more to it than that. The Rover still has something about it that makes it interesting, whereas the Golf simply doesn't. And to compound all of this, the battery keeps going flat on the Golf and the doors won't lock, so it's not particularly good to take home. So bye bye, that's the end of this particular video. Please subscribe if you haven't. Please like this video, that's important. Comment on it, that helps. Join my channel, become a channel member. It's not going to cost a fortune and I will be forever indebted to you. Or you could just simply watch it again. Watching my videos helps. The whole algorithm thing needs a lesson teaching from you good people watching my videos right now. So I thank you very much, and I thank you again, and I'll carry on thanking you. I'll thank you endlessly. Goodbye.